Russia-Ukraine news. Russia's warning about aggression against Belarus prompted a meeting between Putin and Lukashenko. On Tuesday, Moscow warned that any aggression against Belarus, Russia's neighbor and staunchest ally, would be considered an attack on Russia. On Sunday, the Kremlin announced Putin and Lukashenko would meet. Putin warned earlier this week that Russia would use all means to respond to any hostility towards Minsk after Poland decided to relocate military units closer to its border with Belarus in response to the arrival of forces from Russia's Wagner Group. The Kremlin has announced that Lukashenko is in Russia for a working visit, during which he will meet with Putin to discuss strengthening the two countries' strategic partnership. Lukashenko has met with Putin frequently since February 2022, when he allowed Russia to use Belarusian territory to launch a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Since then, the two countries have held multiple joint military training exercises, and in June, Lukashenko allowed his country to be used as a base for Russian nuclear weapons, a move widely condemned by the West. Fears in Kyiv that Putin would pressure the West's pariah Lukashenko to join a new ground offensive and open a new front in Russia's faltering invasion of Ukraine were fueled by the belief that Lukashenko relies on Putin for his survival. The Defense Ministry of Belarus announced on Thursday that mercenaries from the Wagner Group have begun training Belarusian special forces at a military range located only a few miles from the border with NATO member Poland. On Wednesday, a video showed Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin welcoming his fighters to Belarus, telling them they would no longer take part in the war in Ukraine but ordering them to gather strength for Wagner's operations in Africa while they train the Belarusian army. Despite pleas from locals to city council members to show some humanity, permission has been granted to expand the Nursling Recycling Center. The proposed expansion of the recycling center would increase the site's size from 2 to 4 hectares, thereby doubling the number of heavy vehicle trips and the volume of imported materials. Collard Group Limited's plan for Lee Lane included a request for retroactive approval of a picking station that had been constructed in 2021 without proper permits. In addition, the proposal requested council approval of an increase in vehicle movements from 240 to 350, and an increase in waste, materials, and aggregate imports from 75,000 to 125,000 tons annually. 6 residents of Station Road testified in front of the committee in an effort to have the plans voted down by the council. Deborah Clayton claims she can't vent the house because of the noise and dust. She explained, "I had to rearrange my home. We no longer visit the front of the house. We're making an effort to spend more time in the backyard these days. We can't open the windows even though the weather is hot outside because of the noise." As the salesman put it, "I was sold an English cottage, but over the years the area has been converted into an industrial site and as cheap land." Ken Wilson, a local resident, posed the question, "Has anyone here ever stood on the road? The residents have voiced concerns about speed, dust, and noise, yet you are approving this application today. If you stand on that road and try to have a conversation, you cannot hear each other. Every morning at 6:30, the lorries start waking you up, and you just can't get back to sleep. Our street is being converted into a truck drop-off zone. I can feel the vibrations from the passing trucks in my living room. It's ridiculous how much noise and dust there is. I'm curious as to why our county area is less significant than others where planning applications are denied for the same or fewer reasons. Our neighborhoods and homes no longer matter. When you give the green light, everything is destroyed. Please pay attention to what is being said by everyone here today." Night shift worker Penelope Gage claims she cannot get any sleep anywhere in her home due to constant noise. "I don't go to bed. Nowhere in my house is quiet enough for me to nap. The vibrations and noise never stop. It would be a crime to increase. Criminal to the rural area, locals, and all of you who are tasked with keeping the peace. It's not always about the bottom line. Taxes on companies aren't the only factor. That's not the whole story, though. It's about people, after all. Please try to act human, everyone." The issue of the modular picking station, which necessitated retroactive permission, was raised by another resident. Someone from the government wrote, "The current application includes a retrospective element for a picking station that is already being built and operating without planning permission. That picking station's retroactive approval is part of today's request for your approval. It's a major contributor to the increased traffic and noise complaints from nearby residents." A spokesperson for the Collard Group stated that the company would do its part to improve road safety by, among other things, lending its support to the 20 is Plenty campaign. Councilman Stephen Philpott wanted to verify whether or not they had actually constructed a picking station and whether or not they were aware that they were required to obtain a building permit. The representative claimed that the structure was put up in 2021 without their knowledge or consent. Councilmember Minahag queried the site owners on whether or not they felt sorry for the people living on Station Road. The representative admitted that they did, but that it was tough because they felt a chance for communication had been missed. During the discussion, council members pointed out that the guidelines for HGV pollution, noise, and movement were included in the original planning application back in 2014. Mayor Mark Cooper stated, "In 2014, we established the parameters. But now we're saying, let's break all the rules." To paraphrase, yes, there will be some mitigations, plan engagements, resolutions to the planning issues, is what all the officers are saying. Let's not change anything. 2014 was fine. The planning application was rejected by council members Alex Crawford and Roger Price due to unacceptable conditions. Councilwoman Leslie Minahan stated that a decision could not be made until they viewed the site in person. However, after nearly 4 hours of debate, 9 council members voted in favor and 5 opposed. This meant that planning approval was granted. One resident remarked, "Shame on you all," as they left the building in dismay.